Christian. As we grow up, I have really never experienced such kind of discrimination. I think because our parents actually never taught us that what is the Muslim look like, or what is Buddhist look like, what Hindu look like. Suppose during our cultural ceremony, we participate together. However, in other parts of the Bangladesh, we always are facing, the minority people are facing different kind of religious persecution. Here, I would like to share my idea. Suppose a country like Singapore, where we cannot find any religious discrimination. And their system is, I think, India education. Because at home, the parents never teach their children what is Muslim look like or what is Christian or Buddhist look like. And when the children go to school, actually they also learn the same culture. And I believe that if every country adopts such kind of ideology, I hope it will help. Not fully, but I think partially. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I cannot speak to the situation in Bangladesh because I don't really know enough. I have never been to Bangladesh myself, but I know from some friends, such as Venerable Ablo. Yeah, it's a complicated situation, but I just want to thank you for speaking about it. Professor, would you like to take the floor?
I want to return to the theme of ahimsa in a slightly different way now. I want to return to it from a personal point of view. Those of you who know me think of me probably as the person who teaches Buddhist content across a range of topics and how to write arguments as a Buddhist philosopher. That's my professional facade. That's my training. But there's something else you don't know, and it came out today in my conversation with a faculty member who was quite surprised about my interest in ethnicity. I'm very interested in being white in various contexts, and I'm very interested in something called white privilege, which is very real. So I got to thinking about it and reading about it. My most recent read is Buddhism and Whiteness. And I want to tell you a little bit about that white privilege. I think it's real. I think it's pernicious. I think it exists. And I think it's worldwide. But there's another side to the story. Here's the backstory. And I give it from my own experience. That only works if you're in the globalized elite and you're traveling from one city to another, always encased in a cocoon of things like Hilton hotels, fancy dinners, if you're in the cocoon. What if you travel a lot and you're white? Or what if you're in different contexts a lot and you're white? So I want to talk about that. And how I got interested in volunteering time as the ethnic studies director at my own, associate director at my old school. While I'm teaching philosophy, I volunteered time to do that extra job for free. Why did I do that? Here is why, and it relates to the theme of whiteness. So when I was a kid in grade school, at first, everybody around me was white. And then the real estate agents came in with their phone campaigns to scare people into moving. It was called blockbusting. And they would get the phone directory and call down the street, "Oh, did you know there are black people moving in your neighborhood? Can you imagine what it will do to your property values?" Well, I have your solution. I have a nice black family who would really like to buy your house. And further, they would like to pay you double the regular price. Please think about it. Here's my number. You can call me back. Creating white flight from inner cities to the suburbs was their way of operating. They would make money on both ends. They would charge the white families a lot, charge the black families a lot. And by this process, the whole street I lived on became black because my father refused to play the game. He wouldn't move. So I went from a situation where my grade school was basically monoculture to a situation where I was the only white kid in the whole class. So at that point, I experienced a lot of what it is like to be discriminated against. White privilege doesn't universally help you. You can get beat up, your lunch money can be stolen, you can be the subject of racial jibes like Whitey, here comes Whitey, okay? So trust me, I understand it from within, and that's why I wanted to study ethnic studies and be an administrator in a small way to promote awareness about it. Then I went to university. After a high school that was basically white, I went to university, getting a little bit more diverse. Went to the University of Hawaii, where all my friends were Asian. So many situations changed the way you were regarded by people. There, very interesting, some local Asian people didn't want to be my friend. Why? Their grandmother had to work in a plantation for pineapples. And the stories they heard about white people were very negative. Oh, you don't want to have any of those people around. You know, they're terrible. They've exploited our people. They've stolen our land. It was Hawaii. Finally, I end up in England. There are only 2 American kids in this British graduate school unit, 2. In every place I've lived, there have been shifts. So my point is not, oh, be sorry for white people. No. White privilege is real. It does exist. But what lets it operate is racial feeling of difference. So let's go down to Buddhism again. Let's think about Buddhism again. If we remember the teaching, there are no enemies, then we have to think about how we're going to display that teaching. If there are really no enemies, there are only people who want to be our enemy, then we have to guard the gateways, guard the ayatana, the 5 senses plus the mind. We have to observe that racist thought or that anti-Muslim thought. We have to catch ourselves with the thought and saying, stop it. Recognize it's there, really see what's happening to your mind, think about the causality, and let it go. That's all I have to say on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. I would like to suggest a quick round of discussion in groups in line what has been proposed. After that, we can have a short break, and after the break, we can exchange results of our group discussions. Okay? So I would propose to do it in a simple way. We have a big group of people here. So may I just suggest we divide, just for now, into smaller groups of 6 or 8 people. Yes, from 2 rows here. Okay, 2 rows here. Yes, 2 rows here. and so on. You can do the rest by yourself. And again, the question is very simple and complicated at the same time. What can each of us do for the promotion of respect for diversity? And I think it is natural to supplement this question by saying, from the Buddhist point of view, of course, so in line with the Buddhist principles that Professor Frank just reminded us of. I would suggest we take 5 to 10 minutes, okay, for a short discussion in the groups, and then we could have a short break after that. Yes, okay. Let's try. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I'm really happy to see there is a really good conversation everywhere. Let's take 1 more minute, okay, and then we would have a break. So please continue for one or 2 more minutes. So I'm sure it's impossible to exhaust the topic in those group conversations, but if you would like, I suggest you take a 5 minutes break now, okay? And we meet here in 5 minutes time. surprised people didn't want a break. They continued discussing, but we should not. Yes. Now I think it is time now to come back to the conversation. So okay, I think it is time now for us to come back to the big group conversation. Thank you for the group discussions. I listened to some of it, and I have to say it was very interesting for me. But it would be good to continue as a big group now. Okay, but some people have just left, I think, maybe to the bathroom. So we will wait for them. Yeah, because I think, yeah, and we have many people, yes. No, I think you could, exactly. I have to compress, yes. Yeah, this, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for coming back. Thank you so much for coming back. So let's now just share some of the discussions or conclusions from the groups. Of course, we have many people here, and we have many groups, and we don't have a lot of time now. So let's just make it 1-2 minutes short summary per each group, okay, to share with the others. So let's say it is just one person per group who will present the conclusions, the discussions, and let's talk for no more than 1-2 minutes. I can see it's a bit of a hot potato here, but I will be thankful if you can just share for a minute what you discussed. Yeah.
Thank you. We are 6 member our group. Diversity discriminations. We find out on the way religions and human caste, economics, colors or racisms, and educations. Those of ways we are getting or we are experience diversity discriminations, and we also find out how to lead according to Buddhist point of view. At first, number one, we have to practice loving kindness to everybody, and we have some sutta from Tripitaka. I can say 2 sutta name, one Kuta Danda Sutta, views, and Parabhava Sutta. And another one, Buddha's advice, when Buddha propagating his Dhamma or doctrine for everybody at this time, he said one point, like as India have 3 main rivers. One name is Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So those of rivers come from various way, but their way is only one. It's ocean, Indian Ocean. So Buddha said the rivers come from various way, but when they mix, they got only one name. This is Indian Ocean water. They have no separate. So at this views, I can say, if we think we follow our Buddha's message, we can think we are. Buddha also said, whoever come from many kinds of sects or families or community in Buddha's monk life or be disciple of Buddha, they are not introduced by their family, by their castes. They are introduced by disciple of Buddha. And we are summarized that whatever your nationality, your colors, what colors you belongs, whatever, whether you rich or poor, wise or foolish, it depends on your karma or actions. We got this summarized.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't think I have to repeat what you just said. Yes, the idea of loving kindness and the other elements of the important message that is well familiar to all of you, but in this context, it has a special meaning, of course. Thank you very much. So I pass the microphone to the next group, and you have 1 minute.
By respect, sir. I'm BA student here. So I would like to give some resolutions here. So my group, I'm a representative here. So we have 4 kinds of the resolutions. First one is we have to respect each other if we understand the diversity in the world, because it has been in our country also. We have faced that problems because we have a diversity. And first one, if we are human beings, we have to understand the situations, what's happening in our world. It means that we have to avoid the ethnic sanctuaries, because it has been faced in our country also. And the intercultural communications, we have to study other nationals' communication, other national cultures, and other people's belief, and other people's, how can I say, if we are Buddhist monks, we have to say people to avoid ethnocentrics and communicate with the people around the world without delusions, without in our Buddhist word we call Labado Samoha. We have to avoid this one. And last one, I would like to say, if we would like to accept diversity, we have to, first one I have also already mentioned that, we have to understand the situations, we have to respect each other. This is my resolutions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Raja Kumara from Myanmar. I gather from the diversity. Diversity refers to of the people and the animals, etc. Many diversity. Although many diversity, many not only Myanmar but also other countries have many diversity. Although the Buddha said in the Samosa Dina Soda. The Bhikkhus are just whatever great rivers there are, that is the Ganges, the Muna, and the Achiravati. This is the very great famous in India. The Mali all slope inclined towards the ocean. So whatever diverse, many diversity, we need to accept the diverse. So in the Dhammacakka Buddhana Sutta, the Buddha said to right understand. Right understand means to see clearly right understandings. So firstly, we need to right understand to accept the diverse. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Professor. So from our group, so we know the problem discrimination. So cause of the discrimination is we think that it's the lack of our ethical or our moral value. So what we are going to say, it's in the Western society or in our society, we focus more on the Western education or the materialisms. So in all those education systems, they all are lack of the moral education or ethical. So what we want to say here is we want to change the education system itself. Start from the family, as Ajahn already mentioned, start from the family. We have to teach our children moral education and all these things. Then we have to change the education system itself from the kindergarten level to the university level. Actually, I have one good example. In India, in New Delhi, for Delhi central government, they already changed their education system SEE. So SEEC means secular ethic education. So they already adapted this kind of education system in their kindergarten level school and all this high school, middle school. So if we change this kind of situation or education system, then we can solve this problem. Thank you.
I would like to give the opportunity for my members to speak, but I have 3 ideas I'd like to share with all of you. How to, first, how to, this is one suggestion, how to overcome racism. In any documents or any application forms, formal application form, just take away race. You don't need to put race. Put your nationality as Thai or Malaysians or like that. Is enough. A second thing is the government must take an initiative to make a program, interfaith program, by the government, not NGO, but by the government. It shows the intention, the sincerity of the government to promote unity, understanding of religion. And they screen religious talk, not to allow extreme religious to spread. And also to impose penalty for anybody who spread hate speech, insult religion on the cyber, internet, and Facebook, things like that. Yeah, these are the 3 things that I can think of now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm from Myanmar. My name is Thomas. I'm studying as PhD, peace studies. Firstly, I want to talk about the children. Parents are the first teacher. Parents are the first teacher of the children. So they teach about the what teacher, action, speak idea. So I want to say about if the parents good, the children were good. If the parents not good, the children were not good. So to be good, the good children, good child, needed the parents' ideas, mind, action. So this is the teaching of the Buddhas. All of the religious accept this. Parents is the first teacher of the child. So I want to say this, to promote the child, is mainly the parents. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Terinda. I think only our group is different from other. You should not blame our group. You should blame that Pandey because he says we have to find the good side and bad side of diversity. I made it easy to understand is plus and minus of diversity. Uh, so yes, we are a little bit different. So what we can find on the plus side and minus side of diversity? First thing we can find like in if we stay diversity, we know we are becoming more open mind. Yes, we can prove that for us easiest to prove that is a student. When you look at the student when they study international school, they see many different country. That's a student they more open mind than the local school. I mean like the country based on the like our country, like Myanmar and more something like that. So if for example me, I grew up in the Burmese school. I learned between the Burmese student. So if you compare me and some of the boy in Mon society, I'm more open-minded than them. So yes, yeah, that is the plus side of diversity. The minus side of diversity is like you have to be more patient. Like yes, uh, because of the difference is you feel often uncomfortable because of the difference from your. So you have the minus side is you have to be more patient. In the Buddhism world we use candy. You have to be more candy. The second one is we find the plus side of diversity is we have more chance to learn about others. Like so here is there are many students from Vietnam. We have chance to learn the way of life of Vietnamese. Yes, the minus side of the that one is communicate problem. So yes, think about the village. If there are diversity from one family is from Thailand, one family is from Vietnam, so the way of the different culture. So when this side make ceremony from this country, that's how might feel uncomfortable. That is the minus side of diversity. So the third one diversity is we are trying to look in the religion diversity. Unfortunately, we cannot find any plus side by religion diversity. We just find only minus side. So what is the minus side of diversity in religion is more complete and more fighting to each other. Thank you.
Hello. Our group discussed about what are the things you can do to promote unity, and we came up with the points that we can organize gatherings, firstly at social level, and then at regional, and then at national level, and we can further go to international level. That way, we can come together and share our ideas. So, and in that case, exchange of knowledge is happening. So, uh, with uh, when we share ideas and exchange our knowledge among each other, among individuals, and uh, within as society as a whole, we can promote a better understanding among each other, and so that we can help each other. And the second point is a second topic we discuss is tolerance among races and religion. And in that case, all religion speaks a common thing, that is loving compassion and loving kindness and compassion. No religion ever speaks about doing something bad or harmful. So uh, this loving compassion, loving kindness and compassion, it is understood by everybody. It needs no spoken language. it is understood even by the animals. And if we promote loving kindness and compassion, we can enhance a better society by promoting love, care, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Professor. About the discussion, I asked to my friends, he's from Atom. I asked you how can we promote it to our society, to our community. So he said to me, it's a human being, it's a nature. Because of nature, we have a lot of problems, more or less. So, but I commented to you. I would like to comment to you that we have to love kindness. Love kindness. We have to love kindness. There is not talking about love kindness. We have to practically love kindness. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, I have nothing to say except that I'm supposed to summarize this whole event in 10 minutes. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. So we had 4 people in our group. We started off talking about what experiences we had, specific experiences we had, where we felt we were being discriminated against, and what we did then, and looking back, what we would do now differently than what we did then. So that was what we did. I know Bhikkhuni is very eloquent, so I'm passing the mic to her. She refuses, so sadhu, okay. Okay, it's okay, whatever. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm the PhD student, the first year for Buddhism. According to my Thais, so I have a real experience about the Thai problems. Especially we have a problem in the northern part of Thailand and the southern part of Thailand. And the King Ramanai is the best person to cope with the problems. In the northern part, we have a huge tribe, and they have like an occupation for the agriculture in opium. You know, the opium is a very big problem of the world. And the King Ramanai tried to change the career of the Hill tribe to make the agriculture in a different way, and to create the bring the rich to the Hill tribe. The first step that he do, according to my daddy, he is the emeritus professor, and he do this, coordinate with the UN. He do the first step. We start to let the Hill tribe to have their own academics. So we try to get through the Hill tribe to use the Thai language first, because before they didn't use the Thai language. So they have a very different between Thai and Hill tribe. And the second one is they build up the academic school in the village. And then the third one is bring the occupation for the Hill tribes. So the difference is lessened. The gap is lessened by this. So I think the whole of his life of the kings, he do these things. And on the southern part also, they have a problem about the Muslim. And this is a never-ending story of the Muslim. But we want to be living together because we love each other, even we are Buddhist or Muslim. So my daddy do like to get through the academic fundamental of the elementary first, because the elementary is the, I think is the age that if we can develop elementary stage, I think the people will know the root of the problem. They can be the best problem solver. So this is the key factor for the kings to do to get through the southern part of Thailand also, to lessen the gap and to be living together for the whole country.
Thank you very much indeed for all those really, really interesting comments and perspectives. As we heard, the range of views and ideas has been very broad. And that is just normal, because the subject is very broad. But I'm not surprised. I'm sure it's not accidental that many of you expressed what I think you could call a holistic approach, and of course using the Buddhist perspective and the Buddhist ideas such as loving kindness that came up many times. But it is also good, and I also value some of the other specific comments that were made, including the last comment with a specific context in Thailand, North and South. And can I just mention that one of my first teachers and masters in Poland was a journalist. His name was Wojciech Giełżyński. He passed away 2 years ago. He actually wrote a book about the north of Thailand and the hill tribes and the Golden Triangle and all those things that you mentioned. I imagine your father is also mentioned in this wonderful book that I have on my shelf, and I cherish it. I'm happy to share the details of the book with you if you are interested. So thank you once again for all those interesting comments and ideas, ranging from the from the idea of loving kindness, the importance of respect, and the importance of intercultural communication, the importance of education, both on the level of the educational system and the schools, but also the level of family. Also the importance of social media, as it was also mentioned, and the challenge of confronting or counteracting hate speech on Facebook and other such platforms. I already mentioned the Facebook page of the Never Again Association, and I already invited you to have a look. I actually have a small gift, which is the name of the profile on Facebook, Respect Diversity, in the form of a small sticker, which I hope you will accept as a symbolic token of my gratitude for this meeting. I know some of you already know this page, but I want to invite everybody to have a look, and in this way we can also stay in touch if you are interested in those topics. And I think we have a consensus here. These are important topics. So if I could just pass it around, and I hope it's enough for everybody. So once again, big thanks. Jarn Frank is locked out of the room. I'm sure he will manage to come back. Yes. Professor Frank, we were about to conclude, but we wouldn't do it without you. So let me just thank you again for this really big honor, a very special opportunity for me to share some of the ideas and experiences from Europe, from civil society in Poland, from my own experiences of dealing with the challenges of racism and discrimination, and the experiences of my organization. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I also want to say thank you to Professor Frank and to Venerable Lablu, and for everybody in the university for kindly inviting me here and looking after me, and for your cooperation, and also for the discussions we had here. But we are not finished yet. We are still about to conclude today's session, and would you like to, yes? Mm-hmm. Would you like to give us your remarks by way of conclusion?
Thank you, Doctor. And first, before I give my summary, which I've been asked to do in less than 10 minutes, so if it goes over 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure Jeb will wave a red flag here. Okay. I just want to say that this personally has been a hugely important event for my own scholarship and for the way I deal with students. Now, after this, I'm going to look for a lot more of the texture of differences in my students. And as I write my second paper to be delivered, I think, in the spring for the Siam Society on the Madhura Sutta on caste, I will reflect on what I learned today and figure out some ways of including both recent materials like Buddhism and Whiteness, a critical study, and also ancient materials like the sutta I just mentioned. So it's been really great. Thank you for being here. I'm sure you will be appreciated more by Jeb in a moment. Okay, so what I'd like to do is try to summarize. I'm not sure how this is going to work very well. Maybe I should sit down, yeah, because it's not really working like this. Oh, thanks. I just need a small place there. So I'm not the main event. I'm just the messenger. Please remember that. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we did in this morning's session. And I took very careful notes at that time, so I think I will be able to summarize what Dr. Raphael's main points were in dialogue with you. And then I'll talk about this afternoon and what I think roughly emerged from our big discussion. So the general theme of the morning was civil society activism and the Never Again movement, which highlights the tragedy of the Holocaust, and I think also indirectly highlights the tragedy of what happened in Asia in several countries. In 1990s, Dr. Rafal witnessed in Poland the open promotion of racial hatred and violence and bigotry. How is it possible for such intolerance to continue? It's been a long time already since World War II. It's been a long time. How can it be continuing? And what can we do to confront this matter now? In the 1990s, there was a wave of neo-Nazism in Germany then. There were many attacks reported in international media. These are not just little things reported by small local papers. It got around the world. Some houses were burned. German public opinion was rallied. In Poland, There was an attempt, but there was mostly silence, I understand. To break the silence is the most important thing, I heard Dr. Rafal say. To break the silence. Not to decide, to speak out, is to decide. Not to decide is to decide. Harvey Cox, Catholic theologian from the 1970s. So there's many details about the Never Again movement. I can't relate all of these, but I was very impressed that this magazine got the attention of journalists and authors, and the contents were distributed all over Poland. There was also something called, my pronunciation, forgive me, Brunata Księga, a brown book, right, in which there was a record of the hate crimes that actually occurred and persecution of the free speech. Never Again had analytical articles, but we know that there's got to be more done on a large scale. Civil society. Dr. Rafal went into the meaning of it personally. It is activity which is independent of the government. Especially, it is education related, comes from the heart to address the needs of communities. It is a kind of informal education. So civil society is a kind of communication among people who want to make social change, but they feel blocked in some way by large-scale government apparatus. So they just do it. You know the Nike motto, just do it, right? So sometimes we have to just do it. We can't rely on the government to help us with everything. So this is what happened. Music Against Racism emerged. Lots of CDs distributed. Rock Against Racism emerged. So the interesting thing, my takeaway point there was that it was not allowed that there be just one type of music that represented this movement. It was not allowed. The types of music and performers were varied enough to galvanize all kind of people to be interested in this, because people have a grassroots identification with their music. You think about Marley, Bob Marley. In the beginning, this was a small community, you know, grassroots identification. It's just a marvel that it went around the world, and you can hear it in Kmart now in the United States. So it used to be revolutionary, and now it's taken for granted. Football was emphasized a lot. Let's keep racism out of the stadium was a huge idea, because that's where it was most alive, it seemed. Over 3 years in Poland and Ukraine, there were 300 activities in and out of the schools with football players as role models. This activity peaked in 2012. So that's pretty much what happened this morning. And I applaud the leadership, Jeb and Dr. Hansa, for setting this event up, because we couldn't profit from this if they didn't take action, right? And of course, amazing that Dr. Rafal is here all the way from Oxford and Poland on the end of a very long trip in which he lectured in many countries. In the afternoon, after the talk about the Holocaust in the late morning, questions about how we can heal is important. And those questions were particular to individuals with very specific interests. And now I'm going to turn briefly to what happened in the afternoon. I don't think I can summarize everything, but I can pay attention to the groups. Okay? So the question for the groups was, how do we find solutions for conflict, and how do we promote unity? One group thought, first, we practice loving kindness. Second, we follow the Buddha's message. And third, we continue not to use any caste introductions within the Sangha. That's a very big thing. Second group thought that we should focus on intercultural communication, openness to the world, and we should accept diversity. This group thought diversity is generally a positive thing, and it's out of diversity that we find our common humanity. I think that's an important message. Another group thought we start with family, because we have to start with mothers and fathers have to convey the message that hatred is not acceptable in this house. It's not acceptable when you go out and talk to your friends. Try to create a community of love and kindness and not create a community of racism. One group thought that to overcome racism, an important idea is to remove race from documents. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Just to leave the word out and ask for a personal identification in terms of where you're from. I'm from Thailand, I'm from Myanmar, whatever it is. Wonderful idea. Be active to prevent extremists and do some careful looking at what's happening on the internet before it gets to be a huge problem. Another group emphasized parents as role models. Perhaps this is a key thing, because where do kids get the idea that it's okay to use the N-word in America, say? Well, if their parents are using this kind of language, that's where they get the idea. So, well, my mom and dad does it. And if I have black friends, I'm called a N-lover. N-lover, nigger. I'm not supposed to say the word. Yeah, you see, we can't even say the word I'm trying to refer to, right? We just say the N-word. Okay, we can't. If we say it, then we encourage other people to say it, so we just don't say it. But I think you all know what I'm talking about. Patience. One group advocated patience and studying carefully, and this might be a little controversial, studying carefully the good and bad effects of multiculturalism. Could there be bad effects of multiculturalism? Perhaps that deserves further study. What would it be like? I just introduced my own comment. Would it be like some kind of political correctness policing which would not actually promote anything more than just silencing people? Okay, well, that's a thought. I mean, we can see any issue in two ways. I know which side I'm on, but I think philosophically speaking, it's an open question. One group said, crucial to start with grassroots organization, have gatherings at local levels, expand that to the national level and the international level. One group said, loving kindness is the main key. It all comes down to metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. It all comes down to the Brahma Viharas. So if we don't cultivate loving kindness, what kind of Buddhism have we got? Thank you. Wonderful afternoon, wonderful morning. I'm glad I stayed all day. So next, we have some award. Is that right?
Let me invite PhD in Peace, Venerable Labu, who will be say, thank you, Professor.
First, I pray to homage Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And I am very privileged today in here. And I pray my respect to our ex-rector and present rector and IBSC staff. And also, I pray my respect and great appreciations to our beloved and respected director of IBSC Paramahansa, Achan Payut, and Achan Tha, and also Kun Chiep. Without Kun Chiep, maybe it is very difficult to arrange these things in here. She is today with us. And without the gratefulness of our professor, Franz, it not be finished. It not be occurs in here also, because he given the one very wonderful and very meaningful summary. Actually, what today discussions in my beloved teacher, also in my beloved friends, we have a more than 1 year's relationships and all the times, Professor Rafal, and he mostly today discuss about the hateful, racism, discrimination, reconciliation, tolerance, civil society, and relationships, and extremisms. Actually, which is already described by and given by our Buddha 2,500 years ago. This is, they are modified because we use Pali language, but the Western, they use the English language or their own language, their another way of, they are trying to reconciliations. But we are the Buddhist people, reconciliation by purify ourselves and live with the loving kindness and compassion and forgiveness. I think all of the Buddhist monks, even sometimes maybe we don't have a Western term of the knowledge, but we have this kinds of knowledge. I think all of my friends, after finishing in here, you can propagate Buddhism east, west, wherever you like. Because we are the God most fruitable and most significant knowledge today from our teachers, Rafal. So again, thanks everyone's. Without you not participate here, maybe we'll be not in here. So our all credits to go my beloved classmate friends and my beloved the IBSC family members. Thank you so much again.
Okay. The one thing, may I invite Professor Fang give their souvenir to Professor, and then we will have their photograph. Thank you very much, Professor Raphael. And thank you very much, the people who attend this conference. And may I invite to all of you for take a photo in front of this. Okay, Mary, Venerable first.
From me. Yes, just one last sentence from me. Thank you so much for this dialogue. I really cherish it. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow I am flying back to Poland, but I will take this memory with me together with this book. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, please come in front of this. Everyone, please come and take a photo in front of. And don't forget, on Friday, we will have visiting professor on Buddhist in America. Please come and join. Quickly. It's okay. Please, professor, please in front of and variable.